Welcome to the Senior Basketball Analyst. This night was full of games, but tonight we decided to go over the Denver Nuggets at Golden State Warriors game. Really excited to see Emmanuel Mudiay, the exciting 19-year-old rookie that played in the Chinese Basketball Association last year, go up against the reigning MVP Steph Curry. And at first I was going to get into a lot of the talk that's been going, with the Warriors kind of talking a lot of trash in the media because they've been asked about things that other players are saying about their championship win. And frankly, I think it's tired and stupid. And I just don't want to talk about it because it's not important. What matters is the games, and what matters is how these teams are playing on the court and them getting ready for the regular season. And what we saw tonight is, Moutier has made a lot of strides just in the last, couple of days of his NBA career. He looked really bad against against Chris Paul when they played the Clippers, and he didn't look so good either at the start of this game, but once he got going and once he got it almost seemed like he kind of got used to the game speed. He really he really picked up. And here's the thing. One of the things that's interesting about the plus minus statistic, and we all know the problems with the plus minus statistic, but what's good about the plus minus statistic is it gives you a picture, if you watch the game, of what was going on at the time when these players were on the court. And as we can see, this was a blowout until Buster minutes. And it just goes to show you and I think this is very important for the Golden State Warriors and for Warriors fans. You have a really nice roster here because the bottom of your roster is worlds better than the bottom of pretty much any roster in the league that I can think of. Having, Andre Iguodala, who we know should be starting, he's a better player than Harrison Barnes, but, whatever. But they have Iguodala coming off their bench. Festus Ezeli is a decent backup center. Sean Livingston's a good backup point guard. They got this McAdoo kid, and McAdoo, he may not, like, supposedly he's on the bubble and may not make the roster, and they better sign him, especially the way he can crash the boards. And this is a team that, while they're not a poor overall rebounding team, they don't have they don't have really good individual rebounders. And McAdoo has a nose for the ball. He should get a spot. He should be able to stick. Leandro Barbosa, the oldest player on this team at 32, which it's another just feather in the cap of the GM. Having Barbosa as your oldest player at 32 on a championship team, excellent, excellent. Maurice Spades, Brandon Rush, forgot about him because he's had so many injury problems with the knee. Brandon Rush is at the bottom of this bench. Jason Thompson, who started in Sacramento last year, he's on there at the end of their bench. This team has this kid, Ian Clark, fighting for a spot. Clark, he looked good, man. He looked good. Now, it was in scrub minutes, and it was against some really bad players on the Denver side, but he looked good. So this team has, and then Ben Gordon didn't even get off the bench. Ben Gordon may not make this roster. And if for those of you that, especially if you're from Chicago, Ben Gordon led the league in fourth quarter scoring one year. This dude could fill a basket up. And to see them bringing guys like that into their camp, this team is so serious about competing, and they're serious about competing every year. So that was very nice. That's very nice to see who they, bring in as their third and fourth string players. That's really good. Now, as for Denver, this is a rare time where I would take a preseason win and I would say, you know what, that was a good preseason win. That was a win that you can build on and that should matter to you as a team. We all know the Denver Nuggets are not close to being the caliber team as Golden State Warriors, not close. But I'm going to tell you, their starters vastly outplayed the Golden State starters. Emmanuel Mudiay, he started off the game kind of rough. And um, I thought he was actually in for a rough night because of the way that he played because of the way he looked against Chris Paul. But you know what? He looked really sharp tonight for most of the night. Now, this is the play. I'm going to show you, walk through the play that started this off. And Steph Curry just, this is the thing that bothers me about Steph Curry and why I'm not as high on Steph Curry as most people are, because as great as he is offensively, he usually does not show the kind of defense that he's going to show you here in this play. In this play, Steph Curry shows you where his intelligence can make up for his his lack of elite athletic ability. So here Moutier is going to, after some action, Moutier is going to catch the ball and he's going to attempt to use a screen, but see how Steph Curry walls him off, gets the strip, and then he's going to, and then Curry with, this is a classic Steph Curry move where he's going to just flip up this floater from the free throw line. But I wanted to just go back and show you this again. And look at how Steph Curry when Emmanuel Mudiay gets the ball. Look at what Steph Curry does. Steph Curry doesn't. He knows that Bogut is just a liability in pick and roll situations. He's just an out and out liability. He struggles even to cover his own man, let alone show for the point guard and then get back. He just doesn't have the foot speed. His feet are concrete blocks. So what does Steph Curry do? Steph Curry is going to wall off going to the middle. He's not going to allow Moutier to get to the middle. And Moutier, being an inexperienced guy, instead of taking what the defense gives him and making a quick move to the right and forcing Steph Curry to guard his strong hand, Moutier is going to kind of just dribble into Steph Curry. And as you can see, Curry jumps all over him, and then we have the strip. And that kind of play is the kind of play that Steph Curry, if Steph Curry is really going to be what you would say is the best player in the world, that's the kind of play that Curry would have to make consistently. That's the kind of thing you see LeBron doing, where LeBron is making these defensive stops single-handedly. That's the kind of play, and frankly, that's the kind of play that that you see the best players on teams making. They don't just run the offensive side. They run the defensive side too. That's what being the best player on the court is about. That's what we see in another elite point guard that Moutier played before. I mentioned earlier, Chris Paul. Chris Paul, man, both ways. See, we call that two-way now, but we used to just call that basketball. You got to play both ends, man. You got to play both ends. And Chris Paul, elite defender and elite offensive player. And that's what we need to see more out of Steph Curry. He let Moutier straight up run wild the rest of this game. Now, um, and I'll give you an example. And one of the key examples that I have here is Moutier just once he got in attack mode, and I don't know what Curry saw. I think Curry was just really not scouting Moutier, but really just trying to make up for the deficiencies of Bogut behind him defensively. Again, I've said this before. Putting Bogut on the all defensive team made no sense to me. Bogut is not a good defender at all. And I'm going to get to more bad defense from Bogut, but we're talking about Moody and Curry right now, so I'm going to stick to that. But as you can see in this play, this is later in the game. As we get to the second quarter, and now Moutier is going to show you he's learned from that previous mistake and he's not going to make it again. So as we roll the tape, Denver is going to run some action to try to get. They're going to try to get Moutier strong side. Now, Curry did a great job of shading him and not letting him get kind of that high post position so Moutier could face up and operate in isolation. So Moutier is going to bust it back to the other side. You see Ken Fareed setting a really nice screen for Moutier. Bogut falling. No idea why Bogut is falling down here. No idea what happened to him. But Bogut falls to the ground. Now, Watch what Curry does. He does the same thing again. He's going to jump Moutier to the left, and then and then Andrew Bogut basically just gets up just in time to get caught with the old banana in the tailpipe routine, and Moutier is going to cruise in for an easy layup. This kind of play is exactly what we're going to have to see from Moutier all year long if Denver is going to compete for a playoff spot. We're going to have to see that. Moody, and we're going to have to see more of this kind of two-man game between him and Fareed. We're going to have to see Fareed setting lots of screens for Moutier, and Moutier being able to get into the paint and make plays either for himself or for his teammates. But it was great to see that after Curry clowned him with that earlier, Moutier adjusted to it and then was able to make, kind of a highlight play out of it later on. Look, this kid's fan. This kid, it's easy to see what people are excited about his athletic ability. But now, after seeing him just over the course of again a few days, see him develop and thinking, that's what excites me, and that's what makes me interested in him long term. Now, and if you follow me on Twitter at SBA Fourth String, I have all these plays on my Twitter timeline, and I was just pointing them out throughout the course of the game because that's what we do here. We analyze our games. So now to get to real quick though, let me address Bogut because I do a lot of Bogut bashing because I don't think Bogut's a very good player because he isn't. And I don't really understand why people say he is. There was a time a long time ago when Bogut was a decent player, but that was a lot of injuries ago. Bogut is bad at basketball. All he really is a concrete block. He's like pushing a refrigerator around the court. If the ball falls right in his hands, he can get a rebound. If you give him like a straight line dead run to the basket, he can elevate and dunk the ball, but he can't jump at a moment's notice. He has to load up the jump. He can't um he can catch the ball, but he can't catch and finish. He can't catch and then make a play. He has to be standing stock still and then kind of robotically hand the ball to somebody. And then defensively, he's too slow. He's just too slow to really do anything. If somebody jumps right into him and challenges him and he can elevate, maybe he'll get a block. But other than that, he doesn't do anything defensively. And he kills them. He out now kills them defensively. Just kills them. Until Azili comes in the game to play center for them, they are a mess defensively. And really, against Fareed, I would just use Draymond Green, and they probably would have just gone to Green in a playoff situation. Fareed, Fareed has no offensive skill. Fareed does one thing: garbage man routine. He's going to get loose balls, offensive rebounds, rim runs straight to the basket, dunk the ball. That's all he does. He actually, for some reason, he hit 3 mid-range jump shots today, which is very it's beyond rare for him. But the remaining 7 of his field goals, he was 10 or 12 from the field. The remaining 7 of his field goals were rim runs and garbage buckets. Got 22 and 12 on Bogut. 22 and 12 with 12 field goal attempts, and he hit 2 or 3 of his free throws. What defense? What defense is Bogut playing? And we saw there, he's falling. He can't help defense. He cannot ice and then get back to the rim. He can't do any of these things. And they do, oh no, he's all defensive second tier. Are you crazy? You're out of your mind. You're out of your mind if you think he's one of the best defensive centers in the league. That doesn't make any sense. Any sense at all. This league has Dwight Howard. This league has Andre Drummond. This league has DeAndre Jordan. This league has Anthony Davis. This league has even DeMarcus Cousins. And DeMarcus Cousins is not known for his defense. DeMarcus Cousins is a pretty good defender. Where does Bogut fit in there? This league has Tim Duncan still. Tim Duncan's still kicking around. He didn't die. Where does Bogut fit in all defensively? Anyway, I'm not going to keep beating a dead horse here, but Andrew Bogut, 3 points, 5 rebounds, no blocks, no steals, no assists, and a turnover. He doesn't do anything. He adds nothing to this team. He's just a dude out there. The only thing he adds to this team is often he's allowed to foul and they don't call it. That's the only thing he does. He sets a lot of moving picks. He's allowed to slap people upside the head. They don't call a foul. But I mean, he still gets called for a lot of fouls because he fouls so much. But other than that, he's not adding anything to this roster. And really, they probably would have gotten rid of him if anyone wanted him. But I can't even see why anyone would want him on their team because of all of the deficiencies that I just spoke about. So I'm probably not going to talk about Bogut much the rest of the year because what's the point? Like it's just a dead horse at this point for me. It's just I keep talking about him and then he keeps rolling out there and playing poorly, and it's nonchalant. It's like the Warriors won, so I guess he's good. I don't know. So now to get to the Denver Nuggets, and the Denver Nuggets overall played well tonight, but there are some things that Mike Malone has to work on with this team. And one thing is their defensive communication. Their defensive communication is just it's at times atrocious. And especially when they start having to go to the backups, right? So on this particular play, this is Golden State kind of at this is one of these Golden State plays where Golden State gets a really easy bucket and a half court set. So it's a big plus for Golden State. And then it just shows you the deficiencies of the Denver Nuggets. So roll tape. Um, as you see, Andre Iguodala, and see, this is just a simple brush screen and then alley oop finish. And look, Will Barton. Look, I'm not going to hang this all on the big man Laverne, but it's mostly his fault. So I'm going to talk about Barton though first. Look, man, look, Barton. Hey, man, I know Laverne didn't call the screen, but you know what? This screen is not a good enough screen. This is a very, very weak screen. This isn't a good enough screen for you to just get hung up on. And here's the thing: if you step in this way and jam Iguodala and run with him, like you're supposed to do, like you're taught, then this play doesn't even happen because the screen isn't good enough. He doesn't really get hung. See, he's beat already. Now, but then here's where you got to then now that I've addressed that he didn't play it perfectly, Laverne useless. I can't have the big man. And look at Barton. Look at Barton. Look at the look. Look at how Barton is looking. He's like, "What are you doing, man?" And it was funny. I didn't record the whole thing, but Laverne was actually arguing with him about it, which is funny to me that he doesn't even realize how bad this is. First of all, if you notice, look at Laverne. I didn't see his lips moving. It doesn't look like he called the screen. But then it gets even worse. It is his job. What's he looking at? Why did he jam Iguodala? He has no idea where Iguodala is going. I don't know what he's looking at because he's looking here. He's not looking at the ball. He's not looking at Iguodala. And then when Will Barton is trying to recover, he's standing in Barton's way. So Iguodala with, I don't even want to call it a turn back the clock because we know Iguodala has bounced, still to this day. And he's flying through the air for the Showtime alley-oop. Hey, man, Laverne, look, man, you can't be on the court if you do stuff like that. You can't be on the court. You're not calling the screen. You're not jamming the cutters. You're bumping into your own man when he's trying to recover. You're just out to lunch on defense. You can't be out there. You can't be out there. If that's the best he can do, he's not an NBA player. Barton could have jammed Iguodala, and that screen was not enough for me to stop you. But you know what? Your big man still has to call the screen. Your big man still has to slide over and jam. He has to do these things. So that was one of those plays where I was looking at Denver, and Denver made multiple plays like that, where you just say, what's going on out here? Now, Steph Curry, I talked about Steph before. Steph was not very focused defensively for most of the night. He jumped Moutier early and kind of tried to intimidate him, and Moutier wasn't having it. And then after that, Curry kind of went into highlight mode like he can sometimes do, where he just really kind of just becomes, almost like a mixtape player for the NBA, where he's really just kind of just trying stuff and trying different cool moves, seeing if he can excite the crowd. But some of it doesn't really have anything to do with winning games, and it can be a problem, and it's especially a problem for Golden State when Klay Thompson is having a rough night. Klay Thompson, as we've often said on this as I've said in the Klay, I did a show on Klay Thompson. We talked about him extensively in the top 4 shooting guards video. Klay Thompson, if you're closing out on the shooters, if you're willing to stick to him like glue on those pin downs, single doubles, Klay Thompson can be had. He was missing layups he was missing layups like he does when you defend him well. He was of course missing jump shots because well defended jump shots do not go in no matter who you are. And yeah, so if Klay Thompson's having one of those days where he's not shooting particularly well, Steph Curry then has to have a really big night for Golden State to be effective. And especially, again, Golden State didn't come with their calling card. And I understand why. They're the champs and it's preseason. So guys are really just trying to get loose. But once the regular season starts, and especially once it comes playoff time, this team's not going to repeat if they're not a dominant defensive team, because that's the calling card for them. The reason that's the calling card for them in particular, and how it manifests itself for GSW, is in easy basket opportunities, easy transition opportunities. They get so many secondary break threes because they play good defense. When they're not doing that, man, it's just like, you know what it's like? It's like the guy they hired. It's like Steve Nash ball, where you're just pulling it out the net and running. And it's like, oh, yay, we scored 115 and they scored 120 and we're going home. That's what it becomes. So we're going to close on this. Since it's preseason and, this is really just about seeing Moutier and trying to get a little entertainment value out of the game. Steph Curry having a really nice play, makes behind the back pass to I believe it was Maurice Spates, makes a real nice play, and then he pulls out the court vision goggles. So it's the behind the back to Maurice Spates, and then you see the court vision goggles from Steph Curry. So, hey, Steph Curry is always a fun watch. So, you can check these highlights out over and over again on my Twitter account, SBA Fourth Street. And make sure you like the videos, hit the thumbs up, and subscribe to the page, man. We're gonna be breaking down these games. We're gonna be breaking down a game pretty much every day. Once the season starts, I try to do one a day during the preseason, but sometimes I can't find a game on TV to actually do. So, but definitely once the season starts, we're doing a game pretty much every day. We're gonna be doing TNT games every Thursday. We're gonna be doing 2 ESPN games a week, and then we're gonna be doing 2 NBA TV games a week. Then we also have the local Chicago Bulls games. So we're gonna be doing games pretty much every day. Make sure you check us out. You know that.